Hi, folks. Welcome. I'm just going to give everybody about 30 more seconds or so to connect to their audio and confirm that you can see and hear us okay. In fact, if you'd like to confirm that by letting us know where in the world are you coming from, we'd love to see where our attendees are located in the world and where they're coming from. So please go ahead and introduce yourself in the chat now. That'll let me know that you can hear and see us okay. And we'll give us a quick introduction into who you are. So Melanie coming in from Minneapolis, Danielle from Denver, Ife from Atlanta, Georgia, India, North Carolina, welcome, Cameron, Portland, Belgrade, Serbia, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, my goodness. Myself, I am in Eastern Ontario, Canada. In fact, my name is Alain Daou, and I work with the support team here at Visme. We love doing these webinars. In fact, we have some excellent webinars that have been previously recorded. We have some great ones that are upcoming, and this one is going to be no different. It's going to be really fantastic. We're really excited. And I'm going to take that, in fact, as confirmation that you can all see and hear me okay. So I'm not going to take too much of your time myself. I am very excited to present to you the webinar today, No Code Tools for Maximizing Data Impact. I think you're going to get a lot of value out of this, being hosted by, as you can see up here, Art West, Senior Social Media Manager at Jotform, and our founder and CEO, Payman Tai, who will be in shortly. I'm going to pass things off to Art here in just a second, but I have a couple of small housekeeping items that I'd like to go over with you folk. First of all, this webinar is being recorded, so if you miss anything, if you have to drop off early or you'd like to review it, you're going to get a link to that in your email inbox. And if you return to this link, you'll actually be able to view the recording at the exact same link once the webinar has finished. So if you give a few minutes following the webinar, you'll actually be able to review the webinar completely using the same link as long as you are registered. Second, if you have any questions whatsoever, please post them in the questions tab. If you're new to Livestorm, you'll notice at the top of your chat window there, you have a chat tab that you're all letting me know where you're coming from in. And just next to that, there's a questions tab. If you have any questions with regards to Jotform or Visme, please go ahead and post them there, and we will have that populated so we can get those questions answered as we move forward. If we can't answer them throughout, then we'll definitely make sure that we can post them to the presenters afterwards. With that being said, there's Payman. Welcome, Payman. Art is here as well. I'm going to drop off, and I'm going to pass things over to both of you. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining, and enjoy the webinar. Cheers.
Yeah, hey, thank you so much. I think, Payman, I'm going to start with the presentation here if that works for you. So I'll just go ahead and get my screen shared here, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Fantastic. Let's do that. I'm going to go ahead and mute myself as well. The floor is all yours.
Hopefully everyone can see my screen here.
All good.
Take that as a yes.
Full screen as well. If you want to go full screen, you can also do that as well. There you go.
Okay, great. Okay, well, thank you so much, Alan, for the introduction. As he said, my name is Art, and I am the Senior Social Media Manager for Jotform. I'm really excited to be here today with Visme to dive into how we can utilize no-code tools to maximize the impact of our data. I am personally passionate about no-code, marketing, and the democratization of technology, which until recently has only been available to the experts. Today, people all around the world are building everything from forms to integrations, designs, and reports, all visually without writing any code. So whether you're building a public-facing app, an internal tool, there's always a need for data collection. For me personally, no code is exciting because it empowers workers within organizations to build tools to solve their own problems. For example, a social media manager like myself could build a custom workflow to collect and curate content and then automatically post to various different networks. An HR sales manager could build their own mini CRM that works exactly like they need it to without any bloat or extra features. Too often, software has too many features, which unfortunately drives up the price and makes it very cumbersome to use. As a non-technical worker myself, I've been frustrated too many times about my inability to design, build, and iterate on my own tools. So in the session today, I'll explore some strategies for collecting and reporting on data using no-code tools, workflows, and integrations. Additionally, we will examine some of the challenges and limitations of data collection and reporting and how they can be minimized by using no-code tools like Visme and Jotform. Hopefully, by the end, we will also inspire you to collect, analyze, and report on data in new and exciting ways. The tools available today are not only accessible, but they're affordable and non-technical. So whether you're collecting data for your enterprise, small business, or just your family project, you can easily level up your skills. Jotform and Visme both have free plans so that you can get started without any upfront costs. So first and foremost, why is data collection important? Why do we even need to be collecting, analyzing, and reporting on data in the first place? Well, data can provide valuable insights into customers, processes, or even employees. It can often give companies and organizations the leverage they need to gain a significant competitive advantage. While information can certainly drive innovation, businesses still need to find efficient methods of both collecting and organizing data. Data is only beneficial when it's used effectively and can even be detrimental if it's collected and reported on incorrectly. Before we get too far, I think it's important to discuss some of the challenges of data collection and the benefits of using no-code tools to minimize the risk associated with data collection. So whether you're building internals, tools, reports, visualizations, or collecting data for public use, there are many benefits to be realized. Some of these benefits include shorter times to market, lower overall costs, faster adaptation to changes, and overall better use of resources. Most importantly, if you aren't bogged down with the development, analysis, and reporting of your data, you can focus on better understanding your potential and existing customers. At Jotform, we see a wide variety of data collection challenges being solved every day with no-code workflows. These are just a few examples of some of the common use cases we see. Businesses can collect data about their employees, customers, and stakeholders. Universities gather information about their students and faculty on an ongoing and regular basis. Doctors and healthcare providers can use Jotform's HIPAA-compliant forms to request information and even payments from their patients. Researchers deploy surveys via the web, email, and text message to gain valuable insights into market trends and movements. Although these are just a few examples, the list could certainly go on and on. Almost everyone from big institutions to small nonprofits and Main Street business can benefit from data collection and reporting. So the first thing I want to talk about are some of the limitations of data collection. Some of the limitations and pain points that historically made data collection most difficult. Fortunately, the democratization of technology has not only broken down, but significantly reduced most of these barriers. Traditionally, data collection has been quite expensive, time-consuming, and will require many people with very specialized skills. Furthermore, because it involves so many people, there are often communication breakdowns, which lead to more costs and failed projects. Let's explore for a minute what data collection used to look like. For this example, let's take a marketer who wants to build a survey, analyze the results, and then subsequently build a report. Until recently, that marketer would probably need to work with a software engineer to build a form and a business analyst to query and move the data, and then finally a design professional to build the reports. Depending on the size and scope of the project, there might even be a need for a project manager or a coordinator. Now with tools like Jotform and Visme, data can be collected, modified, filtered, transferred, and reported on with ease. A single person in a visual workflow can easily manage the entire process from inception to end. They could even build custom reports and dashboards on the fly as the project needs changed. Another major challenge has traditionally been that data gets siloed once it's collected. So what exactly do we mean by that? Even if there's an easy way to collect the data, it can be quite challenging to visualize, respond, store, approve, and then modify it after it's been collected. This is another area where no-code visual workflow tools really shine. It's a recent shift in technology that non-technical workers can integrate data between systems without the help of a technical expert or software engineer. Even better, software integrations can work directly within each other, like Visme and Jotform, to bring an entirely new experience or set of features to the end user that would not be available in the standalone product. To illustrate this, I'd like to give an example. Let's say you're a small business or even a local government agency that typically prepares an annual report with some sort of survey. In the past, you may have put a report together using Microsoft PowerPoint, Google Docs, or Microsoft Office. The survey might have been done by paper, phone, or even some other tool. Since the annual report and survey are separate documents, they likely would be disseminated at different times through different mediums. For instance, you may snail mail the annual report, but collect survey results by phone questionnaire. Either way, once you get the data collected, they would need to be matched back to the customer or constituent database. As you can imagine, this non-continuous workflow decreases the chances of participation and leaves room for data entry errors. Not to mention, this doesn't really seem like a great experience for our customers. Now let's consider this same example, but with the power of Jotform and Visme. Using Visme's vast slide and template database, we could easily spin up a professional and interactive presentation. We can customize the colors, graphics, and add animations. We can add tables, diagrams, data widgets, maps, charts, graphs, and even call to action buttons. The presentation could then be emailed, published, presented on, and linked to from any page on the internet. We can control view and comment permissions, make changes on the fly, and customize the branding for different audiences. Then, with the Visme Jotform integration, we can integrate our survey right into the report, gathering data in real time as the content is consumed. We could also collect email addresses or integrate polls and quizzes to make it more interactive. The result is a much better, cohesive, and even immersive experience for the user. Better yet, we are likely to have better participation and more accurate data. So at this point, I want to back up a little bit and talk about Jotform and its roots as a no-code platform. Jotform's story really begins in 2006 when our CEO and founder, then a developer, was frustrated by manually coding forms for his clients. The process was tedious, repetitive, and very time-consuming. As a consequence of these frustrations, Jotform was created. Since its inception, Jotform has always been a no-code platform, well before the term was recently popularized. At its core, Jotform is a form builder. It's easy to use, 100% drag and drop, and completely customizable for beginners and experts alike. Every element, from fonts to colors and graphics, can be changed to match your brand or personal preferences, just as you can in Visme. Forms can be very simple or extremely complex, with features like conditional logic, calculated fields, media uploads, and more. Furthermore, Jotform has hundreds of feature-rich widgets and integrations that can advance the capability of the product. Anything from payments like Square, CRM integrations like HubSpot, and visual tools like Visme, we've got you covered. So whether you're starting from scratch or using one of Jotform's 10,000 templates, we have what you need to build the perfect data collection tool. Today, I will highlight just some of the Jotform products that can be used to maximize your data impact. However, Jotform's integrated suite of products contains many other tools, from pre-filled forms to tables, the hundreds of integrations and widgets that, when used together, can definitely unlock some data superpowers. Okay, so the first product I want to talk about today is Jotform Inbox. As we talked about a little earlier in the presentation, responding to data submissions or taking action is an integral part of the data collection process. Jotform Inbox is the perfect tool for managing submissions and collaborating with anyone on the team. As you can imagine, sometimes the data submitted or collected may have errors or typos. Using our Inbox product, you can quickly request updates or comments from form respondents or anyone on the team. Additionally, you could quickly edit responses on behalf of the respondent in one continuous workflow. Some other powerful features would include commenting, tagging team members, and creating shareable links for other users. Additionally, Jotform Inbox allows you to quickly sort, filter, and group submissions. At scale, this becomes critical to understanding, managing, and making sense of your submission data. Again, I'd like to provide a little example. Let's imagine that you're the head of you're the head of HR for a large international corporation. You've used Visme to create an onboarding packet for all new hires. As a part of the packet, you've integrated the Jotform Visme integration to collect pertinent information from the employee. As employees complete the forms in the packet, it needs to be categorized, tagged, and collaborated on with different departments such as accounting, payroll, and even back to the hiring manager. Inbox consolidates all this communication, making it easy to collaborate and stay productive even as the data moves downstream. Additionally, using tags and filters, you could further segment your data. For example, you could keep employees organized by department, project, geographic location, or anything in between. Even better, tags and filters can always be added or changed, modified, or even deleted. This makes it easy to embrace change, iterate faster, and stay in control of your data management. Another tool that can be really helpful is the Jotform PDF Editor. It's a no-code visual tool that can definitely help maximize the impact of your data. The data you collect isn't all that useful if it's stuck in a silo forever. This was another pain point that we touched on in the beginning of this webinar. The PDF editor makes it easy to generate business documents, contracts, invoices, and proposals automatically. Even better, using our integration tools, you can easily sync, share, download, and even edit the PDF automatically. I would like to just give an example of how this can be such a powerful sales marketing tool. Let's say, for the sake of example, you've built a beautiful sales presentation inside of Visme. You've incorporated your graphics, reports, and even animated events. The customer seems interested in the product, but you don't have the data you need yet to close the sale right on the spot. With the Visme Jotform integration, you can embed the form right within the sales presentation. The prospect can then enter their information right on the spot and be automatically emailed a sales contract that is ready to execute. Not only is this scenario more likely to convert, but it saves time, reduces the chance for data entry error, and delivers a pleasant experience for everyone involved. Another important element of data is automating workflows and approvals once the data has been collected. So again, this is after the data collection point. But more often than not, once our data is collected, it gets stuck in an approval bottleneck. This goes back to how we've been discussing data silos and pain points in the data collection lifecycle. So whether it's an HR, sales, or an internal IT request, there are often many levels of approvals that need to happen post-data submission or collection. Workers need to review, edit, and sometimes even enrich the data. Jotform's drag and drop approval workflow builder makes this easy. You can easily add approvers, emails, and conditional branches to your approval process. Because this tool is integrated into our suite of products, there is no need to ever copy, paste, or manually enter data, greatly, again, reducing the risk for data errors. In the example of our Visme sales presentation earlier, it would be very easy to set up an approval workflow that moved data from sales, then to procurement, and then eventually to service. As the approval flow progressed, each approver may append data, attach comments, or even change the data itself. Then, when the approval flow moves forward or backwards, or even laterally, the data is always updated in real time. If you are a large organization, or if you just have lots of data, you could create a table view that grouped everything together by status, such as like in progress, pending, or even complete. So as you can see, when we start to explore the possibilities of no-code data and workflow management, there's a ton of room for creativity and customization, even for the non-technical employee. Prior to this, it would have taken software engineers and database people to really work to modify the data. Finally, the last item I just want to touch on is our mobile form capabilities. In the past, it would have been really hard to collect data digitally in remote locations or areas without Wi-Fi or internet access. Our mobile app allows users to collect data even without an internet connection. Once the device re-enters Wi-Fi or service, the collected data will automatically sync back up to Jotform server. Not only does this reduce our dependency on paper, but it eliminates unnecessary data entry, which too often could lead to mistakes and data loss. Additionally, our mobile forms have some unique features such as signature capture, barcode scanning, and geolocation, further enhancing our ability to maximize the impact of the data collection. So to conclude, I just want to say as more and more tools, systems, and processes become digital, data collection, analysis, visualization, and reporting will only become increasingly important. Ignoring or mismanaging data collection and analysis can have dire consequences for businesses, projects, and teams. There is good news though. Powerful tools like Visme and Jotform are making it easy to smartly manage and dissect data patterns. When used together, data projects can be completed faster with less use of valuable resources and capital. I'm personally very excited for the future of data and no-code tools that are just making this all very easy to manage for workers within organizations. With that being said, I want to pass the presentation off to Penman from Visme.
All right, thank you very much, Arthur, for that. I hope everybody can hear me. Great presentation and very good information in the way you explain no code and put into perspective of course, non-coders and non-designers. And essentially that's how our platform, Jotform and Visme come into play. And I should be able to see you should be able to see my screen. I'm assuming you can. And this is where we left off on the last slide. So I'm going to go ahead and continue on. So we talked about the data collection aspect of it, right? Actually, let me go ahead and turn off my bell as well. There we go. So you can hear me. Okay. So we talked about the data collection aspect of it. And that's what Jotform does, and they do a great job at it. And I've known about them for a number of years. And so I was excited about when we did an integration with Jotform with Visme. And the reason for that is that often when you think about creating digital content. So for example, in this case, what you're looking at is a presentation that's been fully created in Visme. And that's what I'm presenting on. And then let's say that this was going to be a sales presentation, or if I was presenting to an audience and I wanted to get your inquiries at the end of this form or at some point, I could use the app integration in Visme. Visme has an app area, and I could go to Jotform, connect to my Jotform account, and literally embed that Jotform inside of a slide. So you literally will be able to see the form inside of here. And not only that, you'll be able to fill out that form right within Visme. So you no longer have to actually click to go to a form or leave the experience. So what we've done is achieve with them is a seamless integration of the form. And that way the users, as they're viewing the presentation, they're able to experience that as well. And this could be a document and any other content that you can create inside of Visme. So let's talk a little bit more about the data collection and then the next steps on that. I'm going to go to the next slide here. Let me actually go full screen. I've got my mouse click here. Okay, let's do that. Alrighty, so let's talk a little bit about data visualization, because here's the thing: we live in a world of information, and we're inundated with lots and lots of data every single day, lots of information. And so, what is data visualization? I mean, that's kind of a fancy term where you take data and you convert them into graphs and charts and other formats that allow you to present your data in a snackable format. So it's a little bit more visually appealing, but not just because it looks nicer, but you're able to, your brain is able to comprehend and understand and absorb that information a lot faster in a visual format, okay? And that's how you're able to present that. This can be for external use cases, where you take data and let's say you've taken a survey, you want to visualize that into a chart. Visme has over 50 different data visualizations. These are data widgets for stats and figures and charts and graphs. And so you're able to actually visualize that, and you're able to understand a lot faster. So let's talk about why it's important. I kind of briefly mentioned that. I mean, you're basically taking information, distilling data into something that's easier to digest, which was what I mentioned a little bit earlier. Two, you're able to identify certain patterns. So think about a bar chart. You know, imagine if there's 3 or 4 bars, you're immediately able to, with the color distinction or the height of that bar, understand that the data set is larger or represents a higher amount of information or data in that case. And you're able to narrate a story, and you're able to do that, of course, with the data that you collect. And another one, of course, is, I think we got double click here, helps identify patterns. So there's a fourth one, and I think that's a double. So we talk about 4 different things here. But another one, of course, I think is the ability to understand that information faster. And you're able to remember and retain it easier as well. Okay, so that would have been the 4th. And the types of different types of data visualizations. When we say data visualizations, often most professionals think of it as a chart or as a graph, but that's not really the case. A data visualization can be depicted into an infographic format. It could be a product roadmap. So if you look here, this is a horizontal, or as we call it sometimes, a racetrack. and then you're able to actually create a roadmap. In this case, for example, you might have a product company or oriented company, or so you have these bars to indicate the length of the development cycle and so on. So you're able to plan schedules, you can pinpoint certain relationships, and you're able to show changes over time. Bar charts, for example, linear charts can be great for that. And you can also identify frequencies at times, and then you're able to, especially when it comes to financial data and so on, interpret value and risk as needed. All right, and let's talk about graphs. And again, all these examples that you see, except this one, they're all available templates in Visme, so you're able to actually connect them. You're able to connect your data to live data. For example, you could connect to Google Sheets, and that data can automatically update every single time that Visme is viewed or linked as a public or private data set. Now, as far as graphs go, I mean, these are some of the examples, and all these are available in our system along more. And again, you use graphs in different variations because you use it for different data. So for example, here we have the most frequently used visuals, right? So frequency and percentages, and a pie chart will be great. But if you want to depict something over a period of time, here's a linear chart, and you're able to use that to show a trend over a period of time, okay? So you have pie charts, we have streams and network, bars, lines, all these are different formats of charts. All right, let's talk about, pyramid, stacked, and radar. So these are 3 examples here. Again, these are actually available inside of Visme. And so we have the pyramid model, and I always forget to say that, but that's the hierarchy. In psychology, I remember they'll learn that. Mascoffs, I believe, but I again apologize, I'm saying that wrong. But that's something that is often depicted as a pyramid, right? In this case, this is the market share breakdown of the pharmaceutical industry, market share. So if there's an increase in market share, and let's say decrease in market share of a certain product, and of course you have a radar chart here as well that's depicting information. Okay. All right, going on to the next one. Another type is the diagrams and maps. Okay, and so you have Sankey and we have chord. There's chloropath map, tree map, and of course there's circle packing. Again, these are all have different use cases, and you utilize them for different depictions of data. And again, that's a decision that usually, one is templates in Visme kind of have some starter content, so you get an idea as far as which chart the data is for. And another aspect of it would be is that you may already know this is the type of data you want to visualize on, which would be the option to use. We just give you at Visme the different, all the different possibilities so you can visualize that. Now, we've been talking a lot about charts and graphs. Another one is infographics. Now, people get scared often when they hear infographics as far as creating them. We're actually no longer surprised because we see that happen over and over again. A lot of companies that come and use Visme, they start creating with using it as a interactive presentation tool to create more impactful content for marketing or internal communication. And then over time, we see the businesses and organizations start to create more and more of their type of projects in Visme as presentations as well. So over time, they may end up having a 3:1 ratio or a 3:2 ratio, sometimes even a 50-50, where half their content might be a presentation and half of them might be an infographic. And why is that? Because in infographics, you're able to take a series of data and visualize it into just one tall format. And the beauty of it is that it can be as tall as you want it to be, and it can be as short as you want it to be. So for example, it's great when you want to depict timelines, or this is an example here, and you could have as many years as you want and work your way down or up, and that way in one experience. So you can't really do that in a presentation. A presentation, you go horizontal, right? So from the left and you go to the right, but then you still have to transition to another slide. But in an infographic format, you're able to depict all that information, and the user decides when to scroll down and absorb additional information. So it's at their disposal when they understand it. So it's very good for that. Additional for informational, it's great. So this is an informational, this is, speaking of infographics, 10 types of infographic templates. And so this is explaining that. And again, it's to depict information. So imagine if this was a presentation, you probably would have to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11 slides, one for each type and one for the header. And in this case, it's all here. So it may seem a lot to absorb at one time, but the fact of the matter is that infographics are tall, and so somebody may only see this part of it, only this amount, and then little by little they scroll down and see the rest of it, right? Another one can be comparison, and I don't have the full amount, full infographic here. It's just a cutoff of it, but like left brain versus right brain, you know, businesses versus nonprofits, apples versus pears, you know, Samsung versus Apple. I mean, it's all of these ways that you can do our product versus their product. So infographics can be really good for doing comparisons, and you can take them. And again, imagine you have charts. You have a form, fill out on Jotform. You can take that data, maybe it's a survey, you can actually bring it in and visualize it into an infographic format. And that could be composed of charts in combination with text and icons. If you look here, this is an infographic where this one, you know, it has a little data widget here, has a pie chart there, but it has a flow chart, and there is icons, there's text, and even with the switch of typography, you're able to highlight pieces of information. So you see the largest text first, number one, and so I focus number one, the title, the header, red, so it distinguishes from that. It's a little bit smaller. I read this, go down, my eye goes towards a 2, I watch this, I go down a 3, and the contrast of the color every 3 or 4, it's almost the reverse color. You see, that's that color here, it's reverse, and that way you absorb information in pieces and chunks. And so this is all done on purpose, and it's very simple practices that can be followed to create that impactful content. All right, let's go a little bit further on, just a couple more slides here. So best practices, you know, number one, as anything to do with marketing, and even if it's for presenting information or it's for sales, you know your audience, know who you're presenting to, and based on that, create the information, right? Another one would be to choose the right data visualization. So I showed you a little bit earlier on, you could create data visualization as a map. It could be a chart. I didn't show you an example of a map, but you can also do maps completely in Visme as well. But it could be a map, it could be a different types of styles of charts and graphs, or it could be infographics. And so you're able to kind of make that decision based on the information that you have. So if you're dealing with large sets of data, you probably do it as charts and graphs, right? If you're talking about very small stats and widgets, there's these little data widgets in Visme to represent percentages and so on, and utilize those. Another one will be plan for accessibility. What am I creating for? Is this going to be for print? Is this going to be for web? Is this going to be embedded into a website? Okay, if it's going to be embedded to my website, maybe the infographic format will be better because people have a tendency to scroll down. And so if it's an infographic, I can embed that infographic from Visme directly into my website, or I could download as an image and then, you know, put it there. Just for those that are wondering, in Visme, our tool allows individuals to publish the content as a link, private or public link, or embedded as a link into their website, or you can download it for offline use, or download as an image, for example, or PDF, and add it to your website, or link to it, or add it to your email. Often though, you know, what we tell users, and again, often they don't know this because they're so used to downloading, is that if you create it as a link, and if you embed it, or you have a link of that document. So for example, this right now, just to give you a perspective, this presentation, literally 10 minutes before I jumped in, had an issue on one of the slides. On one of the slides, the image at the end, the designer forgot, was actually disappearing. So I sent a note to my colleague and said, hey, there's an issue with it. So, the link was already with Art, so we didn't even have to go back to them and say, hey, here's the new link, use this one. No, the designer went in, made a quick adjustment. Art probably didn't even know that we had that issue. And then he started presenting and everything was good to go. So also, and again, that's accessibility is in the method that you're presenting in. And maybe it's going to be for print. Okay, maybe I shouldn't do it as a presentation. Maybe I should do it as a document format so I can download as a PDF and so on. I want to drop it into an email. Okay, you can download as an image, or you can download as a PDF. You know, so all of those possibilities are there. Or maybe it's for an e-learning platform. I can download as HTML5 in Visme and go present it. Anyway, number 4, always add a legend and key. Of course, at the end of the day, you can have the most beautiful and engaging charts and data visualizations, but you need something to represent it. So there needs to be a legend. There needs to be something that people can correlate to that. It sounds so basic, but you'd be surprised that sometimes people forget about it, or the legend is hard to find. It's not in the right place to associate with that chart and graph and so on. Alrighty, and last but not least, thanks everybody. This has been a pleasure. I hope this is you've enjoyed this little presentation that we put together for you. If you are not a Jotform user, again, both of these tools and Visme have the free version of our application. You can just play with it and play around. And then I think where you are at an aspect of, hey, I'm a business owner, I need to tap into, we have data, we're collecting it, or we need to be able to depict that. So a tool such as Visme can come in, or vice versa, can be there. And I will gonna hand it back on to my team here and stop presenting. And let's see if we have any questions that we can answer. Elaine, if we have you back there as well. All right, perfect. Thank you very much.
Yeah, great presentation. Payman, Art, thank you so much. Really exciting. We do have one question that just popped up from Wolf. He mentions, can you link the data a user entered in a form created in Jotform to the user experience in Visme, e.g. time spent on a given Visme slide?
Can you, let me see here. Can you link the data a user entered in a form created to the user experience in Visme? I'm trying to understand that question. That the part about where it says the time spent on a given slide. So in Visme, there is analytics. When you log into a dashboard in Visme, there's a tab called analytics. So anytime you publish a presentation, you can actually look and see how many people have viewed it and so on. I could literally right now, if I was to share my screen again, I could go to Visme, our account, pull up that presentation under analytics, and I can tell you how many slides I spent per slide that I was on it. So we do collect that information on the Visme side. But we wouldn't be able to tell you how much time somebody spent on a Jotform itself. But what I can tell you is if you have embedded that Jotform into a slide, you will be able to actually know how much time they spent on that slide. So if a slide is on slide 10, you can go in at Visme Analytics and notice that how much time on average people are spending, or even individuals have come in and spent on slide number 10 and so forth.
So I think I got an elaboration here. Well, from Jason, he said, I think he was asking if I filled out a form, could that data populate on a slide in the presentation? So can we represent data obtained in Jotform on the visualization within Visme?
Very good question. So the answer is yes and a no. The yes part, and again, Art can also add to that. Art, is there a way to take data in a Jotform and push it to a Google Sheet by any chance? Is that something that's possible or not?
That was going to be how I answered that question. Yes.
Okay, there you go. So there is the ability for Jotform to push data to a Google Sheet, and in Visme, our charts are all can be connected to Google Sheet. So you can create a chart, connect it to Google Sheet, and the data that is going to that chart can always be coming live from that Google Sheet. So if the form is collecting additional data, that data can continually depict on a chart. You do want it, for example, formatted so that it actually, presents itself properly in the chart. So for example, it's, question, I don't know, form 1, 31 answers, or, 30 people said X, Y, and Z. So you can actually visualize into a chart format. Now down the road, some of the things Visme is working on is going a little bit deeper into data visualization. And that's a conversation a little bit down the road where you'll be able to go beyond just the charts with just a Google Sheets. But yes, you can do that. And I hope that gives you some context. Another one is, I don't know if Arthur, if there is ability to, if there is reporting on Jotform's site, and if there is any embedding ability of that result, is that something that's possible in Jotform where somebody has the results from their form and it's something that they can embed anywhere else, or no?
Yes, I do believe that you can create some limited reports and then embed those into another website or application.
Okay, great. So one of the things I want to mention at Visme, you almost want to think of it as a canvas, because you can embed anything external. You can embed your website, you can embed a form, and in this case the results. I'm going to actually put in a link. Let me see. I'm going to actually put a link to a support topic in Visme. I'm going to put it right into the chat here for you guys. So let's go into the chat. And you can actually visit that. And that one doesn't specifically talk about Jotform, but it doesn't matter. It's any external form. So if you get an embed code, you'll be able to actually take that and then go use Visme to embed that. result right inside one of the slides. So yes, you can go the chart way of connect that data to a chart, but if you are happy with the reporting that you're already getting from Jotform, you can actually embed that to your slide as well. And that will continuously update every time that is updated. Every time you refresh it or a new user goes to it, it will be pulling that latest information. Bear in mind, though, when you embed content from external, and so, for example, when you embed a Jotform using the app integration that we have, or such as this embedded version, if you download that form, if you download that presentation as, let's say, PowerPoint format, which we allow as well, or as a PDF and so on, bear in mind, of course, that functionality of that interactivity of that form or anything else you embedded is going to break. It's not going to be fully functional because you're essentially offline now, and PowerPoint isn't going to support, for example, that integration or others. So the answer sometimes comes in, how can I maintain this interactivity and this live data? Just have it as a link, publish it as a link that can be public or private, which the same way right now. In fact, this presentation, and just want to answer something over here. I'm going to take this presentation right now that we just did, and I'm going to go ahead and just same way that we've been presenting to you is here. So here's the presentation, and you guys can, of course, save it, bookmark it, and so on. And that's what me and Arthur were presenting. That's the link to it. And anytime that gets updated and so on, that link is going to be there forever. Again, it could even be password protected, so only very specific people have access to it. You could be part of a team, and only your team members can view it. The list goes on. Again, I'm going above and beyond, but I hope that answers the question already.
Yeah, I think it does, and definitely security and data management are two integrations that work really well together. I think both Visme and Jotform have that at heart for sure. We had a question here from Mohammed. Can I integrate Jotform into my own website to ask the website visitors some questions? I think that was answered already, Mohammed. The answer unequivocally is yes. You can embed both Visme presentations and Jotform, Art, correct me if I'm wrong, onto a landing page using, I suspect, iframe code. Jonathan asks, not related, but related, does Visme have any plans to be able to add Kahoot to your slides? I wasn't familiar with that, so I quickly Googled it. It looks like
Googled it too.
a game-based learning platform or something.
The answer is we don't have plans at the moment that I'm aware of to integrate directly with them. But the good news is the same way that I just explained, I put a link as far as how to embed external content to Visme. You can embed, a Kahoot or anything else into Visme, as long as you can get an embed code. So this goes along for YouTube. This goes on for, even a Jotform. We have app integration. You can still get an embed code from them and embed it and so on. So you can do any of those. The answer is yes. We don't actually have to integrate with them. You can just use the embed functionality, which I provided. You can embed a Visme inside Visme, by the way. We've done that too as well.
Yeah, that is true. I'm just getting an article from our support page here for anybody that they want to review that. I'll pop that into the chat now. Here we go. There we go. How to embed external online content. You can check that out. In Visme, you can add anything if you have URL, iframe code, or HTML code. So do check out that article if that's something that you're interested in. I think that about wraps up the questions that we have. If anybody has any last minute questions, now is definitely the time to post them.
Yeah, I thought there was one question. Well, maybe we'll answer this. Oh, I think we did answer about the Jotform, embedding Jotform onto their own website. We answered that one, right, from Mohammed? We did. Okay, sorry. I was focused on something else. Okay, got it. Alrighty. So
a couple have just popped up. Payman, if you have time for a couple more questions.
I will invoice them later on, but let's go ahead. Continue on. All right.
All right. So Wolf asks, can you pass the IP address from a Visme user directly to a form created with Jotform?
Can you pass an IP address from a Visme user there? The answer is no, we don't have that ability. And I'm curious what the use case of it would be. So feel free to reply, Wolf, as far as the reason for that. I'm very curious to know why.
And I know the answer to this, but Mohammed asks, can we make mind mapping charts through the Visme platform?
You absolutely can as well. And I think there's probably a template library we have as well for that, mind maps. So let's see if I can find that in and put a link to that. If we do Visme templates and program, mind map makers here. I'll put in a link to that in the chat right now. And it's going to come into the main chat. So mind maps. There you go. So you can also do mind maps in Visme as well.
Great question. Okay, I think that's just about it. Any closing remarks, Payman or Art?
Going to let Art take care of that. I've talked a lot, so let's have him do the finishing statements.
Yeah, no, just thank you so much. I mean, I even in just sort of preparing for this presentation, learned a lot about some of the great tools that are available for data collection. And there's just a myriad of different resources out there. For example, these links that we've been sharing in the chat. So, if you ever, have a question and it's Jotform related, feel free to reach out to us. But, there's also a wealth of information on both of our websites. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you to Visme, and we really enjoyed doing this with you.
Here's a quick last minute question for you, Art. Jason just asked quick, do you have a template for a product quiz with a decision tree that can lead to a user to a certain product based on answers? Let me try that again. Do you have a template for a product quiz with a decision tree that can lead a user to a certain product based on answers? That's fairly specific. What do you think?
Yes, we definitely do have this product quiz type templates. You could just search our template library for quiz. You could also just build your own from scratch using like conditional logic. So we have all of that kind of stuff. It gets a little bit more advanced, but it still is visual. So you could just build the logic right into the form and make your own little quiz or decision tree.
And does it handle other languages for word spelling?
I would have to get back on that one. I'm not sure.
Fair enough. All right. Looks like we're good. No more last minute questions as far as I can see. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Another fantastic webinar. You can visit visme.co/webinars, by the way, to register for future webinars or check out previously recorded webinars. And as I mentioned earlier, this one has been recorded, so you're going to get a link to that. And if you come back to this link after this is done, you'll be able to watch it all over again if you'd like. Thank you, folks, and have a beautiful day.
Thanks very much, everybody. Go enjoy it and have some fun.
Thank you.
Take care.